Ex-wife thought she leveled up, but came crawling back. Hey, true story. My name's Mitch. What I went through was messy, humiliating at first, and honestly, one of the hardest things I've had to deal with. But now I can look back and laugh because of how it all turned out. Let me start from the very beginning because context matters. I met my ex at one of my father's annual golf outings. My dad has been in business for decades, construction and development, and he hosts this big networking golf event every summer. It's half about golf and half about keeping relationships tight with the guys he's been doing deals with for years. That particular summer, I was 19. I wasn't really into golf, but I went because my dad wanted me to be there. He's always wanted me to follow in his footsteps, but I had already decided that wasn't for me. I wanted to work with my hands, be an electrician, build my own path. My dad didn't really love that, but he respected it. So, we're at this golf outing, and one of my dad's longtime associates shows up with his daughter. That's how I met her. She was my age, 19, and she looked like every suburban dad's dream of a trophy daughter. Perfect hair, nails always done, a little too polished for a teenager, if you know what I mean. She came right up to me, introduced herself, and within an hour she was acting like we'd known each other forever. I'll admit, I was kind of blown away. I wasn't used to that type of girl, confident, flirty, dressed like she was 25 instead of 19. I was hooked. The relationship. We started dating shortly after. At first, it was amazing. She was sweet, always wanted to be around me, always texting, calling, planning dates. She'd brag to her friends that her boyfriend could fix anything and wasn't afraid to get dirty at work. But here's the thing. I started to notice she had this obsession with status. She loved bragging about her dad's business connections, the vacations they took, the clothes she bought. She'd make little digs about how she didn't understand why I didn't just work for my father and set myself up for life. I'd tell her, I don't want to live in anyone's shadow. I want to earn my own stripes. She'd roll her eyes like I was an idiot. Looking back, those were red flags. She wasn't interested in the type of man I wanted to become. She was interested in the image of being with someone she thought was already established. But at 19, I ignored it because I was young and in love. The phone situation. Fast forward about a year into our relationship, things had started to feel off. She was more distant, more secretive with her phone. She started picking fights over little things, then one night she demanded to go through my phone. Now, I had nothing to hide. I handed it over without hesitation. She went through every message, every photo, every contact, nothing. Then I said, okay, now let me see yours. She froze. Her whole demeanor changed. Suddenly it was about privacy and not trusting her. I knew something was up. That night when she fell asleep, I went through her phone. I know some people will judge, but trust me. Sometimes your gut doesn't lie. What I found shattered me. The older guy. There were dozens of messages with some older man. When I say older, I don't mean 30 or even 40. This guy was old enough to be her dad. I later found out he was in his late 50s. The texts were disgusting. He was promising her a soft life. He told her he was going to set her up with her own condo downtown, buy her a car, take her on trips. She was eating it up. She was calling him baby and telling him she couldn't wait to get out of her father's house. Meanwhile, I'm lying there in her bed reading all of this, realizing my girlfriend is gearing up to leave me for some dude older than my father. She even told him in one message, Mitch doesn't get it. He wants to be an electrician instead of working for his dad. You understand what a real man should provide. That one cut deep. I was furious, humiliated, heartbroken, all at once. The confrontation. The next day, I didn't even wait. We were in my car, and I just said, so when were you going to tell me about your little plan with your sugar daddy? Her face drained of color. She tried to play dumb. Then she tried to flip it back on me, said I had no right to go through her phone, that I was insecure, that it was just talk. I wasn't having it. I pulled the car over and told her flat out, "Get out, call your sugar daddy or call an Uber, but you're not riding with me anymore." She got out of the car screaming about how she was about to live a soft life and that I'd regret it when I was just some bum electrician. She bragged that this man was going to marry her, give her everything she wanted, and that I'd never measure up. I drove off shaking, but deep down I knew I did the right thing. The aftermath. Within 2 weeks, the whole story came crashing down. Turns out, that older guy was notorious in my dad's circle. He was known for keeping sugar babies, young girls he'd spoil for a little while, then toss aside when he got bored. My ex had no idea. She thought she was special. She thought she was different, but she wasn't. Word spread quickly because she was dumb enough to brag about her upgrade to her own father. The guy ended up using her, then ghosting her. To make it worse, the drama created tension in my dad's business relationships. Some of his associates didn't even want to come around because their daughters were embarrassed or uncomfortable about being associated with her. And me? I was devastated at first. I won't lie. I loved her. I thought she was the one. But after seeing how she got played and how quickly karma came for her, I started to feel relief. Her crawling back. Not even 2 weeks later, I get a text from her like nothing ever happened. She was saying she missed me, that she made a mistake, that I was the only one who cared about her. She even claimed that the older guy manipulated her, that he drugged her one night, and that she felt used and betrayed. She was telling me her dad was furious, that she was humiliated, that she couldn't believe how wrong she'd been. One of her messages literally said, "I thought you were boring and mean, but I realize now you were the only person who actually loved me." I didn't even respond. I blocked her. The letter. But here's the thing, she didn't stop there. Weeks later, she actually wrote me a letter. As for me, I went ahead and pursued my path as an electrician. I don't regret it one bit. I'm building my own career, not riding on my dad's coattails, and honestly, watching her fall flat on her face was the closure I needed. She thought she was leveling up. She thought she was too good for me. But all she really did was expose who she was, a spoiled girl chasing money instead of love, and in the end, it blew up in her face. So that's my story, true story. I know it's long, but I wanted to give the full picture. If your audience gets anything from this, I hope it's this. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is watching someone who betrayed you get exactly what they deserve. The silence after blocking her. When I blocked her after those desperate texts, it felt like cutting a cord. For the first time in months, I had peace. No constant drama, no second guessing, no wondering who she was talking to when she turned her phone face down. But peace doesn't last long when someone refuses to accept the consequences of their own actions. A week went by, then 2, then 3. I figured she finally gave up. Then, one afternoon, I came home from work and found an envelope in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized her handwriting immediately. I stood there holding it for a while, debating whether to even open it. My gut told me it would be a mix of excuses and begging, but curiosity got me. I had to see just how far she'd go to try to spin the story. The letter. Here's the letter, word for word, exactly as she wrote it. Spelling mistakes, dramatics, and all. "Mitch, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this before I lose my mind. I can't believe I threw away what we had for someone who didn't care about me at all. I feel so stupid. I thought he was going to change my life. I thought he loved me, but he was just using me. I should have listened to you when you told me people like him don't care. I hate myself for calling you boring and mean. You were the only person who actually cared about me without asking for anything in return. I thought I wanted excitement, but all I got was pain. He promised me everything, and then he treated me like I was disposable. I can't even explain the things he made me do, and I don't feel safe telling anyone else. I feel like he drugged me one night, but I can't prove it. All I know is I never felt in control. My dad is furious with me. He won't even look me in the eye. He said I embarrassed him in front of everyone. I can't live with this shame. I miss you, Mitch. I miss the way you held me, the way you made me laugh, the way you believed in yourself even when I doubted you. You were right to want to build something on your own. I see now that that's real strength. Please, please give me another chance. I know I don't deserve it, but I can't stop thinking about you. My reaction. Reading that letter was like watching a movie of everything I already knew would happen. She didn't love that man. She loved the fantasy. And when reality hit her, she wanted to come back to the safety net she thought I'd always be. But I wasn't her safety net anymore. Here's the thing. I believed every word about her dad being furious. That part rang true. The guy she got involved with wasn't just some random old man. He was known in those circles, and when word got out that she was wrapped up with him, it embarrassed her father badly. Businessmen don't want their families tied up in scandals. Her little soft life fantasy ended up making her look like just another sugar baby. And the part about being drugged, look, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe she was saying it to gain sympathy. Maybe it really happened, but I wasn't about to play detective. Either way, she had made her choice. Why I never responded. I sat with that letter for a few days. Part of me wanted to write back just to say, you made your bed, now lie in it. But another part of me knew that any response, positive or negative, would open the door to more drama. So I didn't respond at all. I threw the letter in a drawer and went on with my life. The old me, the version of myself before she betrayed me, would have been tempted to give her another chance. But by this point, I had already grown stronger. I had already seen what happens when you invest in someone who doesn't value loyalty. No text, no call, no letter was going to change the fact that she showed me exactly who she was. About a month later, I ran into her by accident. I was at the grocery store grabbing a few things after work, and there she was, standing in the produce section. She looked rough, hair messy, no makeup, sweatpants, nothing like the polished girl I'd met at the golf outing. She saw me before I saw her, and I swear her face lit up like I was her savior. She walked right over, all smiles, like nothing had ever happened. "Hey, Mitch, oh my God, I've missed you so much," she said, trying to hug me. I stepped back and said, "What do you want?" She looked offended, then tried to play the victim again. She started rambling about how the guy used her, how her dad won't even speak to her, how she just wanted to go back to the way things were. I cut her off and said, "You wanted a soft life, remember? Go live it. I'm not your backup plan." Her face dropped. For the first time, she realized I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't holding out hope. I was done. I walked away, left my cart, and drove home. That was the last time I ever saw her in person. What I learned from all this is simple. Some people only see relationships as stepping stones. They don't care about who you are. They care about what you can provide. My ex didn't love me. She loved the idea of what someone else could hand her. The irony is, she called me boring because I wanted to be an electrician instead of sitting in an office with my dad. But here I am now, years later, with a solid career, good money, and independence. Meanwhile, she's burned bridges, ruined her reputation, and probably still chasing the next fantasy. The letter she wrote me is proof of one thing. When people throw away something real for something fake, they almost always regret it. But regret doesn't mean you should let them back in. I've doubled down on my career. I'm not rich like my dad or his friends, but I'm proud of every paycheck I earn. I've got my own place, my own truck, and I don't owe anybody anything. I haven't dated seriously since her, but not because I'm bitter. It's because I know my worth now. I'd rather be single than with someone who's just waiting for a better option. And as for her, well, the letter is the last piece of her I'll ever keep. Not because I miss her, but because it reminds me how far I've come. After everything I went through, I realized something important. If you don't take all that pain and channel it into building yourself up, then you just stay stuck. You end up bitter, replaying the past instead of creating your future. I refuse to let that be me. So part 3 is going to be about the life I'm building now, the plan I've created, and the philosophy that guides me every single day. I want to lay it out because maybe some guy out there is listening, sitting in the exact same pain I was in, and he needs to know there's a way forward. Step 1. Physical foundation. The first thing I did after cutting her off was hit the gym. I had always been in decent shape from working with my hands, but I wasn't disciplined about it. I'd go for a few weeks, then stop. I'd eat whatever I wanted, but heartbreak has a funny way of giving you energy. I was so angry, so restless, that I poured it all into lifting weights, running, and cleaning up my diet. I made a rule for myself, no days off without reason. If I wasn't working overtime, if I wasn't sick, I was in the gym, period. I tracked every set, every rep, every pound I lifted. I tracked every mile I ran. Within 6 months, I wasn't just stronger. I looked like a different man. My posture improved. My confidence skyrocketed. Even strangers started treating me differently. I realized something. If you control your body, you control your life. Step 2. Career execution. The next piece of my plan was career. Like I told you before, I chose not to work for my dad. A lot of people thought I was stupid for that. Why not take the easy road? Why not ride the wave? But I wanted to build something of my own, so I doubled down on being an electrician. I treated every day like an apprenticeship in life, not just work. I showed up early, stayed late, asked questions, took notes. I learned not just how to do the job, but how to think like a business owner. While other guys were just clocking in and clocking out, I was planning. I wrote down everything, what materials cost, how long jobs took, how clients reacted. I started thinking like someone who'd one day run his own company. And here's my plan. Year 1, 3. Learn the trade inside and out. Build reputation. Year 4, 6, get licensed. Start taking small side jobs on weekends. Build my name. Year 7, 10. Open my own electrical business. No debt, cash flow strong, clients from word of mouth. That's the blueprint. I'm not rushing. I'm building brick by brick. Step 3. Financial discipline. The next step was money. One of the biggest insults my ex ever threw at me was that I'd be a bum electrician. That stuck with me, not because I believed it, but because it showed how people equate status with money. So I made a decision. Money would never control me, but I would master it. Here's what I do. 50-30-20. Rule. 50% of income goes to needs, rent, bills, gas. 30% to wants, food out, fun, small splurges. 20% to savings, investing, emergency fund. I built this first. 6 months of expenses in the bank. I don't care if the world collapses tomorrow. I know I'm good. Investments. I'm not gambling. I stick with index funds, retirement accounts, and reinvesting into my own tools. My tools are my business. No debt rule. If I can't buy it twice, I don't buy it once. It's simple. It's boring, but it's discipline. And discipline beats everything. Step 4. Mental toughness. The gym built my body. Work built my career. Money built my security. But I realized none of it matters if you're mentally weak. I used to waste hours scrolling on my phone, watching garbage, comparing myself to others. That had to stop. So I started studying philosophy. Stoicism mainly. Guys like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, their words hit me like a hammer. Things like, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. I realized all that pain from my ex was just energy wasted on something I couldn't control. What I could control was me, my habits, my discipline, my reactions. So I built routines. Morning, wake up, journal. Write 3 things I'm grateful for, lift. Day, work hard, no complaints, focus. Night, read, stretch. Write down lessons from the day, sleep early. Boring, maybe. Effective, absolutely. Step 5, social circle. Here's another thing I changed. Who I let around me. When I was with my ex, a lot of my time was spent around her friends, her crowd, her lifestyle. Fake people, obsessed with Instagram, clout, money. After the breakup, I cut all that out. I built a small circle of men who work hard, don't gossip, and don't waste time. Guys who call you out when you're slipping. We lift together, we work side jobs together, we hold each other accountable. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. I'd rather have 3 brothers who'd ride with me than 30 friends who disappear the second things get hard. Step 6, women. Let me be real here. I didn't date for a long time after her. I needed space. I needed to heal. But eventually I started to think about women again. And here's the mindset shift. I don't chase anymore. If a woman wants to be in my life, she'll match my energy. She'll respect my grind, my discipline, my vision. And I'm not bending over backwards to prove myself. I'm not saying I'll never get married, but if I do, it'll be because she brings peace, not chaos. Because she supports my mission, not distracts from it. And if I never find that, I'll still be fine, because my life is already full. Step 7, legacy. At the end of the day, my plan isn't just about me. It's about legacy. I want to be remembered as the man who built himself from nothing, who didn't ride his dad's coattails, who stood on his own. I want my future kids, if I have them, to look at me and know what discipline looks like, to know that their dad didn't fold when life punched him. And if I don't have kids, my work will still speak for me. The houses I wired, the business I built, the men I helped along the way, that's legacy. If I could put all of this into one philosophy, it would be this: control what you can, let go of what you can't. Build yourself daily, never stop. Every time I want to slack off, I remind myself of the night I caught her texts. I remember how small and powerless I felt. And then I remember that now I'm not powerless. I'm in control. That's the fuel. That's my blueprint. That's how I'm living now. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy, but it's real and it works. If one guy out there hears this and decides to hit the gym instead of texting his ex, or save his money instead of blowing it to impress someone who doesn't care, then it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge isn't her crawling back. The best revenge is becoming so focused, so disciplined, and so fulfilled that you don't even care if she does. That's where I'm at now. But before I go, I'd like to share something with your listeners. The study why men win when they focus on themselves. When I was first healing, I used to stay up late just researching stuff about breakups, psychology, human behavior. I stumbled across a study published out of a university in California that hit me like a punch to the chest. It basically said this: men who focus on self-improvement after heartbreak, career, gym, finances, self-education, recover faster, build stronger lives, and report higher happiness within 1-3 years. Men who let their smaller brain lead the way, meaning they chase hookups, fall into the arms of the next woman, or numb themselves with distractions, report higher levels of depression, more financial setbacks, and repeat the same cycles over and over. In plain English, when a guy focuses on himself first, everything else falls in line. When he chases women, he loses himself and his mission. That study made me realize I wasn't crazy for pouring myself into the gym, into my trade, into my mind. It confirmed that discipline pays off way more than chasing validation. I bring this up because a lot of men out there think the cure for heartbreak is another woman. It's not. The cure is you, your health, your grind, your discipline. The red flag with my ex and my friend. The other thing I wanted to add is something I look back on now and shake my head at. When I was still dating my ex, there was this one night we all hung out. Me, her, and a buddy of mine I'd been friends with since high school. We were at his apartment, just chilling, drinking a little, playing cards. At one point, I left the room to take a call. When I came back, I noticed her laughing way too hard at one of his jokes. Not normal laughing, like leaning into him, touching his arm, laughing. My gut tightened immediately. Later that night, she admitted, "Your friend is funny. You should hang out with him more." That should have been a red flag. Fast forward a couple weeks, I found out she had been texting him. Nothing too explicit, but enough that it crossed the line. Late night conversations, her asking him questions about me, her hinting that she was confused about our relationship. When I confronted him, he tried to play dumb. Said she came on to him. Said he didn't take it seriously, but to me, that was betrayal from both of them. I should have walked then, but I ignored it, told myself I was overthinking, and stayed with her. That was mistake number one. Looking back, that night showed me two truths. She was always looking for better options. He was never a real friend. Needless to say, I'm not friends with that guy anymore. He showed me where his loyalty was, and it wasn't with me. So yeah, true story. I just wanted to tack this onto my story because I think it matters. The study showed me why men need to stop letting lust run the show. Focus on yourself first, and the rest will come naturally. And that red flag with my ex and my old friend, that's proof that your gut is usually right. When you see signs, don't ignore them. Ignoring them costs you time, energy, and dignity. I hope somebody listening can learn from both. Until next time, Mitch.